some array list. I'll briefly explain that. So actually, what is array list? Array list is nothing, just arrays. Okay. Simply when we, like, for example, the default size of array list is 10. I put in elements in that, and if that particular array gets filled up, so I just double the size. Initially it was 10. I filled 10 elements in that. Now the size is doubled. Now the size of array list is 20. Now if I fill up 20 elements in that, now again the size will get doubled. Now the size will be 40. Similarly it goes on. So I hope it is like clear for everyone. And it is, yes, someone asked that is it contiguous? Yes, it is contiguous, because it is nothing, just an array, and arrays are contiguous, so array list is also contiguous. Okay, so I hope it is clear who asked. Okay, so now I'll move on to solving one of the LeetCode problem, and I'll explain that how I approach LeetCode problems. So let us start. I hope it is visible. Anyone respond? Okay. 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 Thank you. So let us first read this question. This missing number, the LeetCode problem 268. It says, given an array nums containing n distant elements in the range 0 to n. So wait, let me explain it what it says. You can read it by yourself. Okay. Okay. So I'll use this. Okay. I'll use pen. So what actually problem says that there is an array. Okay. Now this array contains elements from 0 to n. What is n? N is nothing but the size of this array. Okay, n is size of this array. This array contains elements from 0 to n, like 0, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, don't mind my handwriting. Okay, it contains elements 0 to n. Now I have to find out the element which is missing in this array. So I'll index it. Okay, accordingly. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay. So it says this array contains elements from 0 to n. So here I can see what elements is missing. I can see 0, I can see 1, I can see 2, I can see 3. But n, that is what is n. Here n is 4, because the size of this array is 4. 4 is missing. So that is what I have to find out. So you can see multiple examples here. But before jumping into the solution, first we'll scroll up and we'll see the time complexity constraints. Okay, what it says that n is equals to nums of length, because the size of this array is n, and it says that n, that is the size of this array, ranges from 1 to 10 raised to power 4. Actually this is very important, because why, like you may see in some of the questions that array might range till 1000. What that 1000 means? 1000 means that the code that you will write, the time complexity of even n square is perfect for that. If you write code of n of time complexity n square, it will accept. But here, as it says 10 raised to power 4, the n square will not work. It will show time limit exceed exception. Okay, here I can see that I can write O of n, even O of n log n. Okay, with that time complexity. So now let's jump onto the solution. I'll explain line by line, and additionally I'll not solve it using just one method. I'll solve it using 3 or even 4 methods. Okay, so now let's jump. First, in the first method, okay, I'll scroll up. Okay, in the first method, just before that, we have discussed regarding array list. Okay, now the first method that I'll use is using list. How? Okay, so since we know that this particular array contains elements from 0 to n. Okay, I'll use the similar example. Okay, wait, let me use some another example. Okay, let me use the example given in the question 301. Okay, it says 301. It is also not sorted, so it might be like new for you to understand, and a better example. Okay, so it says 012. I'll index this array. Okay, I'll go very slowly and explain you line by line everything. Indexes is 012. Elements are 301. So what here n is? N is the size of this array. What is the size of the array? It is 3. Okay. Okay. So like first tell me what is the missing element. I can see 0. I can see 1. I can see 3. But what is missing? Missing is 2. Now how will I find it? Okay. I'll store every element. Okay. Listen it carefully. I'll store every element of this array into an array list. Okay, let us assume that this is an array list. I have stored every element in this array list 301. Okay, now since I know this particular this particular array has to contain all the elements from 0 to n, so I'll iterate from 0 to n. I'll check. Okay, so Devyansh, okay, so does this array contain 0? Now the list will say yes. I'll use the method list dot contains. Okay, I'll ask that list dot contains, does it contain 0? Yes, it is. Okay, it will return true. No problem. Further go on. Now I will say if list dot contains 1, yes it is, it does contain. Okay, then move further on. Now when the pointer comes to 2, it will ask if list dot contains 2. No, it will say no, I cannot see any number like 2. Now that particular method will return false, and at that particular time I will return the value of 2. Okay, I hope it is clear. Give a thumbs up everyone. I hope it's clear. Good. Now I'll write the code. Okay, now see it line by line. Okay, I'll explain it also. Okay, I'll first initialize the array list. Okay, array list. Okay, I hope everyone is sitting along with a pen and paper and make a pointer 1. Write method 1 array list. And similarly, the 4 method that I'll tell, write it down after this session. Solve it in the LeetCode. Okay, not right now. Just first listen to me. Okay, I initialize this array list. Okay, now I'll store all the elements of this array, nums into the list. Okay, I hope everyone knows about like this looping and all, so I'll not explain that. Okay, now I've stored all the elements in this list. Good. Okay, now till now everything is cool. Okay, now I'll check. Now I'll iterate, because since I know that this particular element has to contain all the elements from 0 to n, so I'll iterate from 0 to less than equal to n, not n, because like less than equal to less than n is for iterating into the array, but I know that this array has to contain all the elements from 0 to n. Now I'll ask. Okay, now focus, attention. I'll write in the if statement. If list dot contains, okay, list dot contains is a method. It will iterate through the list. It will check that if that particular element is present in that list. Okay, if that particular element is present in that list, it will return true, otherwise false. Okay, list dot contains I. Okay, I, because like 0 to I is iterated from 0 to n, so I'll put I. List dot contains I. If that, okay, I'll write false. Okay, why false? Like अगर ये एलिमेंट लिस्ट में प्रेजेंट नहीं है, like then only I'll return value. What value? I'll return I. Okay, I'll return I. Good. Yes, good. Then if okay, sorry for the interruption. Very sorry. Okay. Okay, now it says that if list dot contains, if not contains, then return I. Okay, now very important point is, in entire loop, in all the possible test cases, you will get the answer from this line. Why? Because I'm iterating from 0 to n. Okay, after that you have to mention a return statement, but this will never get executed. Can anyone explain me why this particular line will never get executed? Anyone? Okay, no problem, I'll explain it. Like, anyone want to try it? Okay, once again, I'll explain it. Because I'm iterating from 0 to n, 0 to less than equal to n. So I want element which are missing within this range. So if I'm executing my for loop within that range, then I would not expect any further or like any beforehand of that. So I will always get the result from this particular statement. And whether I'll write -1, 0 or 100 in this line, I will like it doesn't mean anything whatever I write over here. Now I'll run this. Okay, it will get accepted. Cool. I hope this first method was very clear. Thumbs up everyone. Yes, Chirag, ask doubt.
Yeah, why did we take less than equal to when it's
okay, good. Less than equal to here, right?
Yes, we have.
हाँ, सो आई एक्सप्लेन इट बिकॉज लाइक देखो हमको व्हाट क्वेश्चन आस्क अस, ठीक है, इट्स क्वेश्चन सेड, ओके, क्वेश्चन सेड दिव्यांश टेल मी इन दिस पर्टिकुलर एरे, टेल मी इन दिस पर्टिकुलर एरे what element is missing from the range 0 to n, and what is n? Okay, Chirag, tell me what is n here in this example. What is n here?
Length of array.
N is what?
Length of array.
Yes, and length of array is here 3. Okay. Now I'll iterate from 0 to 3. Okay. Tell me if 0 is present, yes. If 1 is present, yes. If 2 is present, no, it is not. That is why I iterate, because here you can see distinct numbers in the range 0 to n. That is why if it would have said 0 to n minus 1, then I would have wrote you over here that less than n, because it said a range from 0 to n. Okay, that is why I wrote less than equal to n. देखो अब मैं ब्रीफ में इसको फिर से एक्सप्लेन करता हूँ आपको। क्वेश्चन ने मुझे बोला कि दिव्यांश टेल मी 0 से n तक कोई भी नंबर इसमें मिसिंग है, दैट इज व्हाई आई रोट लेस देन इक्वल टू n, और लिस्ट में सारे एलिमेंट्स हैं जो एरे में प्रेजेंट है। अब मैं लिस्ट में चेक कर रहा हूँ, लाइक इनडायरेक्टली आई एम चेकिंग इनटू द दैट नम्स एरे, ओके। तो हमेशा मुझे इस लाइन से ही आउटपुट मिलेगा, इस लाइन पे मैं कभी जाऊंगा नहीं, क्योंकि हमेशा अगर मैं यहाँ पे लिखता लेस देन n, तब मुझे यहाँ पे n लिखना पड़ता, ठीक है, ओके, आई होप यू गेट इट। तब मुझे n लिखना पड़ता, क्योंकि फॉर एग्जांपल यहाँ पे अगर होता इंस्टेड ऑफ 3, अगर यहाँ पे 2 होता और मैं यहाँ पे लेस देन n यानी 2 तक जाता, अगर इसमें 3 नहीं होता तो 3 मुझे यहाँ इस वाली स्टेटमेंट से मुझे 3 रिटर्न होता। लेकिन अगर मैंने इक्वल टू लिखा है तो भले यहाँ पे मैं n लिखूँ, 1000 लिखूँ, इंटीजर डॉट मैक्स अंडरस्कोर वैल्यू लिखूँ, कुछ भी लिखूँ, डजंट मैटर। ओके, आई होप इट इज क्लियर, एवरीवन थम्स अप। Okay, one second, let me take a water break. Okay, thank you. Okay, now I hope it is clear. Now I'll move on to another method. Mark it down in your notebook. Method 2. Bhaiya, can we so? Yes, I'm coming into that. I told, right, I'll tell multiple methods. Wait, I'll tell. Okay. Well, whosoever told that, like, good, nice. I'll appreciate. Okay, now what the next method is, what the next method says. Next method is like the one who mentioned. I'll use sorting technique. Okay, how? Did anyone say something? No. Okay. Now this, what does this say? I'll use the same example 0 1 0 1 3. Okay. Now I'll sort this array. Okay, Divyansh, why sorting? Wait, I'll tell you. Why sorting? Okay, after sorting, what it will become? It will become 0 1 3. Good. Sorting. Okay, after sorting. Okay. After, okay, don't mind my handwriting. Okay. After sorting, it becomes 0 1 3. Now what I'll do? I'll take up a variable count, and I'll initialize that count equals to 0. Good. Count equal to 0. मुझे ये बताओ भैया, ये 0 ही क्यों लिया आपने? Because what the question says it ranges from 0 to n. That is why I took 0. If it would have said, okay, Devesh, tell me distinct numbers in the range 1 to n, then I would have taken that count equals to 1. Okay, now I took count equal to 1. Now I'll iterate through this array. Okay, from this particular 0th index till the last index, that is 2. Okay. Now it says, okay, now if this nums of i is equal to count, yes, it is equal, no problem. Increase the counter, that is count equal to count plus 1. Also increase the iterator, that is now move on to this particular index. Okay, since the index nums of i was equal to count, I do nothing, I'll just move forward and increase the count of the count. Okay, increase the count by 1. Now here it comes. What is the count? What is the value of count now? It is 1. Okay, and what is the value of this particular nums of I? That is nums of 1. It is also 1. Same problem. Move forward one step and also increase the count. Now it comes over here. Okay, now what is the value of count here? Here the value of count is 2. But what? But the value at this particular index is 3. Okay, now there is a conflict. Okay, the nums of I is not equal to count. What I would do? I would simply return the count. Cool. I would simply return the count. I hope it is clear. Now I'll take one more example of this particular. Okay, it would have been like this: 0 1 2 3. Okay, and count was in, okay, I'll use C. Okay, count was, C was initially 0. Indexing is 0 1 2. I'm sorry. C is initially 0. Okay, it's okay, it's first check if this nums of 0 is equal to count. Yes, it is. Increase the count, move forward one step. Okay, now it comes over here. Now at this particular time, what is the value of C? C is 1. Okay, and what is the value of nums of 1? It is also 1. No problem, move forward one step. Now it comes over here. It comes over here and the index is 2. Now it asks nums of 2, if nums of 2 is equal to C. Yes, it is. No problem, move one step and increase the count. But like, one second, Divyansh, how would I move one step forward? I've already come at the last index. No problem, come out of that loop. Okay, come out of that loop. Since you have increased the count, now we will return 3. What is that? 3 is nothing but n. What is n? N is the size of this array. Okay, like, ये array में 3 size था. Elements were from 0 1 2. What was missing? N was missing. What is n? N is the size of this particular array, that is 3. Okay, I hope the explanation was clear. Thumbs up, everyone. Thumbs up. Cool. Okay, thank you. So now I'll move on to the solution. Nothing. Okay, nice. Since we have not done the sorting part, I'll simply use arrays.sort. Okay, it is an inbuilt function you can do for sorting. Arrays.sort nums. Okay, now since I told I'll use a variable count, int count equals to 0. Yes, I took count equals to 0. Okay, int count equal to 0. Now what I'll do, I'll iterate through this array from 0th index to less than n. Okay, now I'll iterate int I equals to 0, less than n, comma I plus plus. Okay, now what will I said, likewise I told, if nums of I is equal to count, move forward and increase the counter. If nums of I equals to count, do what? Nothing, just increase the count. Okay, increase the count. Okay, like once again, increase the count. Okay, wait, let me do it one thing. If nums of I is not equal to count, then simply return the count, because we would be always increasing the count. That is why I didn't wrote it in the if condition. Return count. Okay, return count. Otherwise, wait a second, I'll write it, otherwise you won't understand. I'll explain the other way that I told. Else do what? Else count plus equals to 1. Else return n. Okay, this much was clear. The way I told. Cool, it accepted. Now I'll explain. Like I took the count equal to 0. I iterated from 0 to less than n. At any particular time where nums of I will not be equal to n. Likewise it happened over here. Here the nums of 2 was 3, but at this particular time my count was how much? My count was 2, and at that point I'll return 2. I return 2. That is what I am doing here. If nums of I is not equal to count, then return count. Otherwise, increase the counter. Like one thing I would say, that whenever we return within a for loop or anywhere, we would not write else, because अगर वैल्यू यहाँ से रिटर्न हो जाएगी तो फिर इसका कोई यूज ही नहीं है. तो सिंपली वी कैन राइट लाइक दिस. और इफ मैं यहाँ पे कर्ली ब्रेस भी लगाने की जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि अगर आप कर्ली ब्रेस नहीं लगाओगे तो इफ के जस्ट बाद वाली एक स्टेटमेंट इफ के इंक्लूडेड मानी जाती है. ओके, आई होप इट इज क्लियर. And likewise I returned n. Why n? In this particular example, all the elements were equal to their particular index, but what was missing? The nth value was missing. That is why I returned n over here and it got accepted. The problem was get accepted. Okay, I hope it is clear. Everyone react. If any doubt, please ask.
Acha, I had a question for all the participants. Guess the time complexity of the code Divyansh wrote and
Yes,
write
everyone
it. Yeah, and post it in
N
the
log
chat
n.
box.
Anyone said like something?
Who said it?
Interact with us. Like there's nothing like nothing to be hesitated. Everyone, please interact. Okay, no problem. Like you can write it in the chat if you feel hesitated or something.
Yeah, we show the code.
How much?
We show the code.
Sorry, you're not very audible to me. Type it in the chat.
He's asking to show the code.
Okay, show the code. Okay. Okay, copy it. You want. Like I did nothing. I first sorted the array. Okay, I took the count variable equal to 0. Then I iterated through the array, and at particular time, if nums of I, if the value at that particular index, ith index, was not equal to count, then I returned that particular count. Otherwise, I just simply incremented the value of count. And if the case that I explained over here that all the elements were equal to the particular index, I returned the value n. Okay. Okay, so whosoever wrote n log n, it was correct. N log n, why? Because of this sort. The sorting takes n log n, and this particular for loops takes n. So which one is greater? N log n, right? So we consider the greater value, that is n log n. So the time complexity of this is n log n.
We
Okay,
would
good. I
be
can see.
reading in detail about the sorting mechanism, how it works in the further classes. Don't worry, guys. Acha, apart from this, I just wanted to say, Kavya, uh, your method was also correct. We can also do in the same way. Good, good approach.
So now I move on to another method. Now everyone write third pointer in your register or whatever where you're writing. Now the third it says. Now the third one is interesting. You all know. I hope everyone is good in maths over here. Okay. So since every element are supposed to be from 0 to n. Okay, wait. Let me take a sip of water. Thank you. Okay, so since every element are supposed to be from 0 to n, so tell me, if every element are supposed to be from 0 to n, so what is the sum of from 0 of first n natural numbers, that is n into, sorry, n into n plus 1 by 2. Good. What is this? This is the sum of first n natural numbers. Okay, so what is the need of this? Okay, let me tell you. I'll use the same example, just 301. 301. Again, what is n over here? N is nothing but the size of this array. What is the size of this array? Size of this array is 3. Good. Now I'll take two sums at the time. Okay, now sum one is what actually has to be, what the ideal sum. Ideal sum is n into n plus 1 by 2, that is 3 into 4 by 2. Okay, what is how much it is? It is 6. Wait a second. It is 6. Okay, now what is the sum of this particular array? It is 3 plus 1 4. Okay, now I'll subtract these both, that is 6 minus 4. How much it is? It is 2. Okay, simply it is nothing but simple math. Like you have you have like for example, how much I can say. Okay, you have 5 fingers, and every fingers have a value of 1. I sum up 5. What is the value? That is 5. Now if I say I have 4 fingers, tell me, okay, if I'll ask how much finger is missing, you'll simply say that is I have 4 fingers, so I'll do like 5 minus 4. What is that? Is 1. Okay, good. That is what it is. Okay, the number which is not present in this array will be extracted. That will get after subtracting the actual sum which was to be expected from the array, and the sum which the actual array holds that will get by subtracting the actual sum value minus that is the sum of the particular array. Okay, I hope that is clear. Thumbs up, everyone. Okay, good. Okay. Now I'll move on to the code. This code is very much easy. Okay. You can write it yourself. I'll initialize the. Okay, I'll take sum one and sum two. Wait a second. I'll take expected sum. Okay. Expected sum. How much it is? It is not zero. Sorry. It is n into n plus one by two. Okay, n into n plus one by two. Okay, good. Now I'll calculate. Now I'll take another. That is actual sum that the array holds. Array holds, that is actual sum. I'll calculate this particular sum of this array, that is sum plus equals to. Okay, I'll write it more easier way that you might not stuck anywhere here. Sum equal to sum plus nums of I. It will calculate all the sum. Now I'll simply return what? Return the expected sum. Okay, I'll just copy instead of typing. Minus what? Minus actual sum. Okay, I did a very much blunder over here. We compile time error. Okay, I think that's cool. Compile what? Cannot find symbol what? Sum. Okay, actually it has an actual sum. I wrote sum over here. Sorry. Okay, now I'll run it. Okay, accept it. Good. So this was very easier, right? Any doubt in this? And it is nothing, just calculating the actual sum, that is n into n plus 1 by 2 minus the sum that particular array holds. Okay, clear? Okay, and now I move on to the last method. That is how much? Like I did like third. I guess it's like third or fourth. Okay, like whatever. Okay, fourth. Okay, now write fourth and mentioned over that XOR method. Okay, XOR method. Now what this XOR method say? Okay, XOR is nothing, bitwise XOR. I hope everyone knows bitwise XOR. I guess everyone know this bitwise XOR. Bitwise XOR is nothing. It is like if you do a XOR a, that is if you XOR any element with that same element, sorry, you will get 1. And if you XOR a with like any other, you'll get some other random value. Okay, like wait, if I do 0 XOR 0, I'll get 0. If I'll do 1 XOR 1, I'll get 0. If I'll do 0 XOR 1 or 1 XOR 0, I'll get 1. Okay, now that particular thing I use over here. How? Okay, now how? I'll tell. I'll use the same example, 3 0 1. Okay, and since I was expected to have all the elements from 0 to n, I'll XOR it. I'll XOR every element from 0 to n. Okay, how I'll XOR it? I'll take 1 XOR 2. Okay, wait, 0 XOR 1 XOR 2 XOR 3. Okay, since the size was 3, I took all the XOR of all the elements inside any particular variable like XOR. इसके अंदर मैंने सारे एलिमेंट्स ले लिए, इन सबका XOR करा लिया. ठीक है. Now in that XOR I'll iterate through the array. Now I'll again XOR this, XOR all the elements with this XOR variable. What I'll write over here? Okay, let me tell. I'll write over here XOR this 3, then XOR 2. No, sorry, not XOR 2. Like 2 doesn't exist in this array. 3. Okay, I'll XOR 3, then I'll XOR 0, then I'll XOR 1. Okay, now what it will do? The 1 will cancel 1. Good. Now 3 will cancel 3. 0 will cancel 0. What left? 2. And 2 we will return that value 2. Okay. Okay, I'll like summarize it. I took XOR of all the elements from 0 to n. N was 3. Okay. Now I again took the array, I iterated through the array. I took again XOR. What elements the array holds? 3, 0, and 1. Okay. I'm sorry. What it will do? 3 will cancel 3. 1 will cancel 1. 0 will sorry. So 0 will cancel 0. What left? 2. And 2 we will be getting as a result. Similarly, for all the cases like 0, 1, again we will XOR here. What? 0 to n. What is n over here? Here n is 2. Okay. 0, 1, and 2. What the array holds? Array holds 0 and 1. I'll draw 0 and 1. 0 will cancel 0, 1 will cancel 1. Again, we will get the answer as 0. Okay, let us code it. But before anyone doubt in this, Zor? Or thumbs up? Thumbs up, good. Like more responses. Good. Okay, now I move on to the solution of this. First, I'll take n equals to nums dot length. Array equals to nums dot length, and a XOR variable, I initialize it to 0. Okay. Okay, I'll initialize it to 0, and I'll first take XOR of all the elements from 0 to n. Wait. Int I equals to 0 and less than equals to n. Now, please don't ask me why I took 0 to equal to n, because I already said the range says range in the range 0 to n. Okay, that is why I took a 0 to n. I take XOR of all the elements. Okay, the sign of XOR is this. Okay. Okay, I'll write it more conveniently for you. XOR it with I. Okay. Int I equals to 0 less than n. What I am doing here, I XOR all the elements from 0 to n, and here I'm iterating through the array. Okay. I plus plus, what I plus plus? Device do nothing, but just do this. Okay. Equals to what? Nums of I. I hope I didn't did any blunder. Now return XOR. Cool. It accepted. I hope it is clear. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Okay. Now I can see I use 2 for loops, but I can even like concise it in a single loop. How? Simply, you can see I over here. Yes. So if I simply add I over here, but one thing missing. If I'll remove this loop and if I will run it, it will not give me the answer. Okay. Anyone please explain why it will not give the answer? Anyone? Like you can see it gives the wrong answer. Anyone who can explain or write it in the chat? Anyone? Simply just unmute yourself and reply.
Because we are not entering n.
Yes, good. Because in the last loop, what I did, I iterated from 0 to less than equal to n. And here initial value of XOR is 0. Okay. I have to initialize this XOR as n. Now it will give me the answer. You can see, cool. It accepted. So I hope it was clear. Thumbs up, everyone. Who actually replied this answer? Who did the answer? So whosoever replied, good. I hope these 4 methods. Okay, Trisha, okay, good. Okay, so whatever I told, these 4 methods of solving. The first was using using array list. Second was sorting, I guess. Yes. Third was a mathematical way. That is, I did n into n plus 1 by 2. I did n into n plus 1 by 2. And the fourth, I used XOR. And as XOR, I told the 2 ways. Where I used the 2 for loops, and again I used the optimized way, that concising everything in a single for loop. Okay, so anyone who can say which is the most optimized of all these 4? Anyone? I'll tell. Okay, XOR, good XOR. Okay, XOR is okay, one more. What? XOR. Yes, XOR was optimized, but that mathematical way was also optimized because it also took what? OFN, right? I'll concise it. Okay, I'll concise it in 2-3 minutes because it has OFN. Yes. Okay, in the first method where I use array list, it was a very like expensive execution of the code. Why? Because I used two loops. Okay, the time complexity was O of n because the two loops were like I'll not okay. Actually, this everyone like many people do. If I have O of n plus O of n, I'll write two into O of n. No, that is simply O of n. But we just say that if you two like two for loops 0 to n like separately, I can say it is slightly longer, it will take slightly longer time, but I will not say it is 2 into often, I'll say it is often. Okay, so in the first method the space complexity was of n because I stored all the elements of the array into array list. So the space complexity was of n and the time complexity was of n also. Now the second method, the time complexity was n log n. Why n log n? Because I sorted the array. Okay, and the space complexity was of n because I did not initialize any of the data structure to store. The time complexity was same. Sorry, space complexity was same of 1 while the time complexity was n log n. Okay, now the third, what I did, the mathematical way, like n into n plus 1 by 2. In that, the time complexity was of n because I iterated through the array, like 0 to n. And the space complexity was again of 1 because variable I, like these are nothing, just of 1 space. Okay. Now the third way, the XOR way. XOR way, I did two things. First, I did with two for loops. Again, the time complexity was of 1, but I can say that it takes slightly more time. Okay, the space complexity was again of 1, and in the other way where I used a single for loop, the time complexity was of n while the space complexity was of 1. I hope it was very much clear to everyone. Like I'm like to the end of this part. I hope it was very much clear. Okay, good. Now, whatever you did note, like when you noted everything throughout this. Now, after this session, solve this question with any of the methods or even all the methods. And the reason I told these many methods, that is 4 methods, because these are not just for increasing your lead code count, but it will help in like 10 to 15 questions. If you use the XOR method, I can say like I can simply like tell the questions, you solve these questions like 10 to 15 questions using XOR, and then sorting, then link array list, like this these are like common patterns that you use in most of the questions. Okay, so thank you. This was all from my side.